to another episode of the Winging It Formula One podcast. We are now entering our second year, I guess, because we had our first year birthday party the other day, which was 100 minutes of us going crazy. But we're back to normal now because we are back in Baku for the Azerbaijani Grand Prix of 2021. Woohoo! Another street track. Woohoo! Life is kind of normal because it's a street track. Formula One can now still close off 2 city centres to have races in. So yay, piss off COVID. I'm Freddie Coates and I am joined by 2 fantastic people who are going to help me pre-dissect this year's Azerbaijan Grand Prix. I'm joined with Nigel Chu and Adam Dickinson. How are you boys? Adam, you doing well? I see you are in a blanket on in a heat wave.
I'm in a blanket in a heat wave. Yeah, I was just not been awake for that long, so I'm going for the blanket approach. We might have to take it off at some point, but it's still kind of cool here. Yeah, I like how you said that our birthday episode was 100 minutes of us going crazy, as if our whole podcast as a whole hasn't been 71 other episodes of us going crazy. But yeah, I'm good. Looking forward to Baku. They're doing, as you say, closing off 2 city centres to race between, which seems a really weird way of doing things to me personally. But if that's what they're doing this year, then fair enough.
Well, they closed off Monaco last week, was what I was going with.
So do they race between them? Just do length?
Yeah, I guess so.
Right.
Like length, like swimming. Yeah, they go from harbour to harbour. Nigel, how are you doing? Save us from this insanity. Oh wait, you're Nigel. You can't.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I'm fine. Yeah, I'm trying to think. When was the last time we had 2 back-to-back proper street circuits? I can't think of any time.
Proper street circuits makes it difficult because you can always say Singapore and Sochi. Yeah,
I was about to say that. Yeah,
count in my eyes. I think you might have to go back to I don't know,
Canada and Azerbaijan. Are we allowed them?
I guess then it goes Monaco, Canada, Azerbaijan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, to be fair, the last time it's just Monaco, Azerbaijan, last 2019. But...
Yeah, fair enough.
There we go. That's settled. So how are you then, Nigel?
Yeah, I said I'm fine.
Oh, okay, cool. Good. Let's get down to the business end of the podcast, and that's the 2021 Azerbaijan Grand Prix. It feels weird not saying 2020 Azerbaijan Grand Prix because we didn't have it. For me personally, so there's an insight into my mind. We did have 2020, but yeah. So the first topic we're going to discuss is something we missed out a bit on in Monaco. We had it in the preamble with the press conferences, which was the Hamilton versus Verstappen. It was the first race where we didn't have any Hamilton versus Verstappen action, and for the two, apart from sort of off-track stuff like the championship standings and Hamilton trying to play mind games and shooting himself in the foot. So do we think there's going to be more Hamilton versus Verstappen at loggerheads ahead of everyone else this race, return to the status quo of the first 4? Or do we think it's going to be something different and there's going to be more of a gap between the 2 of them? Nigel?
I think yes. I think they're going to collide this weekend. I think it's inevitable there will be a collision this year. No matter how they try to put it, saying there won't be contacts. And I think this weekend, given how they've raced so far, there's not much runoff at Baku. There's no runoff at Baku. So if they're trying to force each other up, widen off, I can see things getting a bit frisky, especially on the first lap or 2. So yes, I think a collision is inevitable, and it could happen as early as Sunday, I think.
Who do you think is going to frisk who?
I don't know. I feel like the collision is something that we'll kind of end up waiting for a lot longer. It'll be like when Leclerc was at Ferrari and you predict his race win not you particularly, but kind of people would every weekend be like, oh, he's going to win this weekend, then he wouldn't. And then, I don't know. I feel like it'll be that we'll kind of be waiting for it for a long time. And then, yeah, I think it'll happen later in the season. But it could, as you say, you provide very sound logic for happening.
I'll be shocked if they don't collide this year. It would be 23 races. It'd be mad if they didn't have some.
I think they might have contact this weekend in terms of I don't think it'll be kind of terminal for either of them. I don't know. I just think it'll be one of those things that we kind of wait for it for a long time. But yeah, in terms of this weekend, I think I'm very looking forward to actually. Baku's a good circuit in a bad country, and that's what F1 does best. So
Apart from Russia.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, I do forget my point, so I'll hand back to you.
That's all right.
Oh, okay. If it comes back to you, then mention it.
It's come back to me. Yeah, I think the pattern we seem to have seen in the first races is kind of Verstappen racing very hard and Lewis kind of being the pacifist. That's probably not the right word, but he kind of seems to be the one that bails out a bit more. I think we saw that particularly at Imola. So I'll be interested to kind of see where, and was it Portimao as well?
I think Imola was the one where he didn't bail out on, and then realised he had to go. He went all over the curbs, and that threw him way off. And Verstappen then waltzed off from that. I think from that one, it made him think maybe I do need to be a little bit more either aggressive when I'm ahead, but not if I'm being overtaken, or I need to be a bit more restrained. So when he was overtaking in Portimao, he just ran Verstappen right off the track in the way Verstappen did to him at Imola. Giving him no hope at all in the second DRS zone or anything. And then in Barcelona, when Verstappen flung his car right up him at the start, Hamilton had to move out of the way of that, because he could have legitimately turned in and just been like, oh, he crashed into me. And Verstappen could have got a grid pace penalty or something for that, to be honest. So I think it's going to be an interesting one to see, because I was going to make a point that I think there needs to be Hamilton seems to have the perception that he can sort of mature into the lead as the race goes on, if that makes sense. And we can let Verstappen go and wander off and think he's got a chance, and then we'll just beat him. But at the end of the day, that hasn't worked out, because in Monaco, when Mercedes were on the back foot, now Verstappen's and Red Bull are in the championship lead. So you've got to kind of think of, I think there needs to be a bit more of an aggression from lap one from Mercedes and Hamilton.
It worked. Is it both Portugal and Spain? Did Verstappen take the lead at Portugal?
No, he didn't. He was ahead.
He took Bottas was the lead, and Verstappen was ahead of Hamilton.
Right.
But Hamilton came back and went up the inside, didn't he? Out really aggressive down the pit wall.
I think that's what I was thinking of. I think that's what I was thinking of. I think it has worked, other than at Monaco, where he was just awful. But I think apart from that, and Bottas wasn't able to keep pace with him. But I think apart from that, it does seem to have worked so far that Verstappen's been better off the line and better into the first corner and managed to get ahead of Hamilton in a few races. But that's not been enough for him to win the race, which is why Hamilton's won 3 and Verstappen's won 2.
I think there's some stat that Verstappen is the only driver to have led laps in triple figures even this year. I think Hamilton's only had like 70 or 80 laps, and he's won 3 out of 5 races. So yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, it is working. It'll be interesting to see how that goes here, because obviously it's a track with a 2.2 kilometer straight on it, which lends itself very nicely to overtaking. And to our next debate, which will be the flexi-wing controversy, which is going to be a big sore point coming into this weekend, because just to give a brief overview of the entire controversy, the Red Bull rear wing and a few other cars along in the paddock have been accused of basically being able to bend back when they're going down the straights, which means that it's a lower rear wing, which means it's got less drag, which means they can go at a higher speed on the straights, but also then the wing is taut enough and high enough to provide downforce in the corners. The reason this is a controversy is because it's bending when it's at 180 miles an hour, but not when they're doing the tests in the pit lane prior to the race and so on. So basically Red Bulls is doing this, and people are very annoyed because it's basically cheating, because it has been cheating for 20, 30 years to do movable bodywork and flexible rings and have it all impacted by aerodynamics and stuff like that. And yeah, so I think the whole big talk is, are Mercedes going to protest the Red Bull? Nigel, what's your thoughts on this big flexi-wing debate?
Well, there's a bit more to it, isn't there? Because Red Bull can protest Mercedes, because Mercedes' front wing is bending. So it's kind of, I think if Mercedes do protest Red Bull, I think Red Bull will just protest Mercedes, and Mercedes' front wing is bending just as much from the video footage I've seen anyway. It's bending just as much as the Red Bull rear wing. I know they're completely different parts of the car, but the basic rules are that you're not allowed to have flexible wings, as Adam perfectly shows with if you're watching on YouTube. So I think I don't think there will be a protest. I think it'll be interesting to see if Red Bull have to modify their rear wing a lot for the French Grand Prix, because that's when they're going to have new tests, new rules. So over the last few weeks, the FIA have been building some kind of system to test the rear wings, and it'll be interesting to see if that does have an impact on Red Bull's performance. But I really don't think. I mean, Mercedes have talked about Red Bull's rear wing gaining half a second, 6/10 or something ridiculous, but I don't think it is worth that much, because 6/10. DRS is worth about 6/10, and it's not as much as that. So I don't think the performance gain is as much as Mercedes are saying. But I think it's just fantastic for us that there's, as well as the on-track battle, there's also some off-track controversy, I guess, and I think it just intensifies the battle even more, which for me is just brilliant. I think.
I think it's worth 7/10. No, I. It's just like it's F1, isn't it? It's like pure F1 of like everything that goes on off track, and like the Wolf Horner rivalry, or Horner getting very annoyed at Wolf and kind of Wolf not really caring. But yeah, it's kind of now. This is kind of what it's all about. There's teams, obviously they push the limits as far as they can on the technical regulations, but they also try to make every advantage they can with the FIA and with these protests. And we saw that last year with the DAS system and with Aston Martin and all the teams protesting them. Racing Point, got him, and all the teams protesting there. So it's kind of part and parcel of F1, really. And it just, as you say, adds a lot more spice heading into the weekend. And I think there will be a protest from Mercedes. It might depend if they like do Friday running and Red Bull seem to have the upper hand. I think there'll be a protest then.
I think there could well be a protest from McLaren, because they were a team who were very, very angry about all of this in Monaco. And I think they were basically saying...
So happy. He's just a happy man. He's like, I got third in Monaco, yay. So he's happy, and he's got nice overalls, and people,
Andreas Seidel is very angry. I think McLaren, if any team were to protest, would be them. But I mean, it seems to be like half the teams on the grid are doing this anyway. Maybe
Ferrari,
6 or 7.
Alfa Romeo.
I was about to say that.
Alpine, I think, are.
It's not just Red Bull, it's a lot of the grid that would be disadvantaged by this if there is kind of a protest and a bigger crackdown.
And that's why they've given the time. Nigel alluded to it there. They announced after Spanish Grand Prix that they were going to bring in stronger tests from the French Grand Prix, which at the time was when the Turkish Grand Prix was going to happen, was 3 races away and the better part of 2 months away. So it gives the teams, particularly in budget cap world, time to make their wings just that little bit stronger on the straights, just to beef it up a bit. And you kind of think that's all they can do. Otherwise, they're going to disqualify 10 cars every weekend, and that's just a complete catastrophe. But obviously Mercedes won't see it like that. They'll see it like, exactly, not for the other 10. So I think, maybe Williams will be very angry about all of this, but who knows? It's one that's going to run. Sky F1 are trying to get everyone to call them limbo wings for some reason, and that annoys me. They're called flexi-wings. They've been called flexi-wings for 30 years. Deal with it. And that's the start of my campaign with that.
Probably the end as well.
Yeah, probably. But yeah. So yeah, we'll see the outcome of that at the end of this weekend. Maybe it will just be nothing. It will have hyped up a damp squib with that. But
I mean, it'd be interesting to see if we get any replays from the amazing TV directors. Sorry, amazing, to see if they showed the real wings or anything like that.
Thank God we're back. Thank God we're back with F1, not with Monaco doing it.
Yeah, the Monaco Auto Club aren't providing the coverage for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, so it should be a bit better. Fingers crossed.
Used to have it in the British Grand Prix. It was the RAC would do it, or the BRDC, whichever one. They would just do it. And I always find that quite fun. But just like if it's like the BRDC, you got like Damon Hill just manning a camera, just filming the cars and absolutely failing and stuff like that.
Didn't like BBC and ITV do their run their own coverage for a bit as well before? Like
they may well have done the British races actually. That's a good point.
Yeah, I think they.
Yeah, I think you're right. But yeah, speaking of something that may be a damp squib, we can look back at Baku. What do we think of Baku as a track? Because in 2016, we all went in there thinking, this is going to be crazy. Look at the GP2. They're all crashing into each other. Matsushita's been banned for a race because he did stupid crap, because everyone's doing stupid stuff because of this track. And then we had a really tedious race. So but then in 2017 and 18, we had crazy races. It's kind of, and then 2019, we didn't have a crazy race. It's kind of like we've had bad, good, good, bad. So where do we think this one's going to lie? What do we think of Baku as a track? Do we like the challenge? Do we think it's weird? Do we think it's cool? Do we think it's been basically now the blueprint for every new track in Formula One since, if you look at Vietnam and Jeddah? Go. Give me discussion
really
about
like
Baku.
It. I think on the F1 game, it's my favourite track to drive. And I like the fact that it's got a genuinely unique section in the castle section. It's one of the few parts of a circuit over the last 15 years that has got a corner name or kind of been named. It's kind of Turn 8 Turkey. That's probably the only one that springs to mind for me. I think it's a fantastic circuit. It's been so well put together. The way it encompasses the old town is amazing. It's still got some elevation change, which is always nice, and it's got a stonking straight at the end of it as well, with a few high-speed corners or flat corners. So yeah, I really like it. I think there'll be a good race this year, largely because kind of looking at the tracks, I think most of the races have kind of exceeded expectations for the track. Most of them have been good. So I think this one will be too. I think they'll, probably expect some, I don't know, like a McLaren and Ferrari going for the podium, hopefully. There'll hopefully be a battle at the front between Hamilton and Verstappen, and there might be some safety car action. There might be some mixed up strategies. It might well be a race that a team's mistake decides the win, that you pit when you shouldn't or whatever, or means that a team misses out on a podium that they should have got that would have been quite rare. So it's hopefully, like you say, hopefully it's more like 2017 and 18 and there's a lot of action on there.
Yeah, I agree with Adam. I absolutely love Baku as a circuit. I think from a technical point of view, you have to set the cars up for top speed on the straights, and that means the cars are really tricky to handle in the corners, of which there's a lot because it's a street circuit. So I think it's a fantastic challenge for the drivers as well. It's a modern circuit with an old school kind of feel. If you make a mistake, there's not much runoff, or if there is runoff, you have to do a 3-point turn, or is it Ragnarhaven? Or he did like
Ragnarhaven.
Sorry, he did like a 50-point turn and couldn't get out of the runoff.
Or you do what Ricardo did and just reverse straight into a car that's behind you when you're trying to get out.
Yeah. So
not a good corner for turning.
No.
Yeah. I just think it's a brilliant circuit. Qualified is really good as well. As we saw with Leclerc's crash a couple of years ago, the drivers are always on the limit. You have to be close to the walls. And it produces great racing as well with the 2.2 Conta flat-out section. I'm almost... It's kind of mad that the FIA have allowed this circuit to be raced at, because some of the corners, turn 15, the penultimate proper corner, it's quite fun. Where Brendan Hartley and Gasly nearly took off. That's just a mad corner, and the castle section as well. It's just bonkers.
It's turn 15, the one that's kind of down the hill, the left-hander that really turns down. Yeah. It's
a hard corner.
Failure there. That's going to be a pretty nasty accident.
Jenson Button was very angry about that corner when the track was first announced 2016. That's weird to think that Jenson Button raced at Baku, but anyway, it feels like it's been ages since his F1 career. But he was really not happy at all about that corner. I remember him basically at every session just basically saying, "We haven't got enough runoff here. This is not a safe track," but still did it. And I think he, I don't know, probably did all right. But I agree with everything you're saying about Baku being a brilliant challenge of a track. It's just bonkers. And it's, yeah, my kind of one thing is the only reason we've had sort of crazy races is because there's been like a retirement in an unsafe location, which has needed a safety car or something. I feel like that's always been what spurned a crazy race. I think there's only been a bit of like strategic play that's been relatively interesting there, and that was Bottas being able to sort of leapfrog Vettel and Hamilton in 2018. But other than that, the rest of it has been a bit like reliant on sort of, I don't know, a mechanical failure and stuff like that. That's my only qualm with it. But other than that, I think the challenge is fantastic. I seem to remember the qualifying in 2019 being like an hour and 45 minutes because of crashes and stuff. And it's one of those tracks that's just brilliant to watch Formula One at, and has been a really, really brilliant addition for modern Formula One, which is rare to say, to be fair.
Which was the race?
Safety car restarts was still insane. Yeah.
It was at 2017 with Vettel and just crashing into Hamilton, kind of as he was behind the safety car. Just really annoyed that he thought he was being slowed down too much, and just yeeted himself into the side in a kind of.
It was just daft, isn't it? And then he denied it.
Yeah.
What the low point of his entire career.
One of my favourite moments.
One of many.
Yeah, many low points since that point for Sebastian.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can't defend on the safety car restart because the final proper turn's so far away from the straight. You can go as slow as you want or as fast as you want. It's just impossible to defend. So if you're a car behind, you'll just get a massive slipstream, especially with the big, fat, wide, heavy cars that we got now. So yeah, that's why the restarts are just crazy.
As of 2018, I think it was, or maybe 2019, they brought in the rule where there isn't a safety car line, so you can just back the car up all the way to the start finish line, back the cars up, and that's we've seen drivers like Verstappen do that. Bottas did it in Mugello, which caused a bit of a kerfuffle behind, to put it mildly. But when it's done right and everyone sort of pays attention behind, then it can take ages for the race to restart, and that gives a mechanism to the driver at the front, because in 2017 and 18 we saw Hamilton leading restarts and stuff and nearly catching up with the safety car by the time it got into the pits, which is not fun, particularly for Bernd Mailander when he's driving, looks in his rearview mirror and sees 20 Formula One cars about to pile on him. But yeah, so if there's a safety car restart here, don't expect super slipstreamy restarts, because it won't happen for the entire straight. It will happen right at the last minute with 250 meters to go until turn one, I would say.
Yeah.
Unless someone just pulls a flyer.
Yeah, unless someone just messes up and goes, whatever, I'll take the drive through.
Or there'll just be a driver that doesn't realise. It would not surprise me at all if there's a driver that just doesn't realise and goes from the safety car, especially like if they're in the lead. George.
Yeah. George and Mugello.
Yeah, George.
Giorgio.
I was going to say, I've always wondered if it rains at Baku, it will be absolutely off the scale. Because those last few sweepers that aren't really turns in the dry, they will just be death traps in the wet.
Me and Freddie have done online racing on F1 2018 or 20 at Baku when it's wet, and it's like about 3 cars finish, and one of them like I think I did one race where I had to pit like 3 times. It was on simulation days, I just kept breaking wings.
It's like Stoffel Van Dorn finishing the points in 2018. He pitted 4 times that year.
Wow.
And he's Stoffel Van Dorn. He didn't have a good F1 career. Like, it's that kind of track.
My favourite moment, one of my favourite moments was Alonso's first lap in 2018 when he had a double puncture, wrestled his car back. That was a great moment. And then he got 7th, I think, in that race.
Yeah, he did. It was brilliant drive. I mean, every race that year was Alonso's best ever drive, but you've got to take it with a pinch of salt. But that one actually was really good. Albeit he did get squeezed into Sirotkin, so he was that far back. But the rest of it was pretty good.
Sirotkin was that far forward that he was, going wheel to
Sirotkin
wheel
was better than people think.
with a two-time F1 champion.
I die on the hill that Sirotkin was better than people think.
That's such a stupid hill to die on.
I mean, he could be 1% better than people think. Who knows?
But
that's an even stupider hill to die on.
He's not even 1% better than people think.
Everyone's bang on with the percentage perception of Sergei Sirotkin's 1 year in F1 at the back. So yeah, I think we can safely say we're all pretty much ready to love Baku again, and really happy that it's back on the calendar. I'm really happy it's back. It's just going to be brilliant, and the qualifying and the practice sessions will be bonkers. We've got Formula 2 there, which is a good excuse to have some completely random grids on a completely bonkers track. So 3 Formula 2 races around Baku is going to be something else, I'd say. Matteo Nannini's back, who's bringing it F1 podcast's favourite driver. He's now replacing Gianluca Petikov at Campos, so whatever's going on there is ridiculous. But Gianluca Petikov's lost out. But I will say there is some breaking news that I'm going to break, and that is that Valtteri Bottas is still in Finland.
At the airport.
He's at the airport as we record this podcast. He's still in the airport doing the press conference from there because of travel disruption, as the headline has reported it. Whether he will get to Baku to start the race is yet to be seen, but he probably will. So ignore this bit of breaking news.
I like how the breaking news that he's still somewhere. It's not that he's gone somewhere. It's like he's still
he's still in Finland. It's not like Valtteri Bottas has gone to New Zealand by accident. That would be funny.
To Mongolia, and no, it's just like he has not left it. He is remaining in Finland. It's like that could have been the breaking news yesterday as well, or Tuesday. Like, Valtteri Bottas, breaking news. He has not moved from Finland yet,
for the foreseeable couple of years, but not for that long. So yes, right.
An absolutely clean up finish F4.
Yeah. Poor Bottas. It'd be just Bottas's luck to end up not having an F1 drive just because Finland won't let him leave the country. Not because he decided for 1 week to go back to Finland rather than stay in Monaco, and he has to try to finish F4, which is only like one race because it's always snowing. So
when Lenin
when Lenin was a driver for Mercedes
in Revolutions, then he was in St. Petersburg, I won't call that at the time, and I think he escaped on foot to Finland when the March or February Revolution fell through. So yeah, he escaped to Finland on foot and lived there, and then only came back. I think Trotsky organised most of the successful revolution, the October Revolution, and then he just came in for the last bit because he was sent
there by Germany because they thought he would throw him off and make them lose the war, and it did because they surrendered from the war. To be fair, but anyway, that's enough.
Enough A-level
Russian Revolution history for you guys.
You can never have enough Russian Revolution history in an F1 podcast.
It's such a
just wait until Sochi.
Yeah, that's going to be brilliant. God, we're going to completely overhaul that. Adam will be in America trotting out all his stuff about Russia because that's what you do in America.
On the point of him returning to Russia, it was Germany. He went on a train run from Switzerland all the way up, through. He would have gone through Germany and then I think through Denmark and Sweden, and went all the way around to St. Petersburg, and then our head of history in sixth form recreated that journey for a holiday because that was what she wanted to do.
Bless. That's her first shout out on the podcast. Well done to you. So yeah, now just through a bit of quite nice positive news. We said screw you COVID at the beginning of the podcast, and we're going to carry on saying that because it looks like there'll be full fan attendance for the Austrian Grand Prix, and that will be, I believe, the first motorsport event with full fan attendance since prior to the pandemic. I don't know what's been going on in Australia.
International, yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's fantastic. Go on.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I think there's still plans to have the British Grand Prix with full fan attendance as well, depending on the UK situation. But who knows? There seems to be a lot of discussions about foothills of a third wave here, but that's a different podcast. That's not us. But yeah, so 2 Austrian Grand Prix, 2 full fan attendance Grand Prix. Presumably, mostly only one.
The first one's 75%.
Okay, that's
still.
interesting. Still a lot of people. What was the percentage capacity at the Indy 500? That was 60%. So it's still a lot. Going to be a lot more people closer together because it's a small venue, the Red Bull Ring. So people are going to be pretty packed in. So yeah, any thoughts on fans back at the track?
Rubbish. I hate it. No, it's great for everyone. I'm going to my first fan rugby match this weekend for a long time. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I've been some in lockdown without fans, and it's so bizarre. It's just like it feels completely removed from anything. It's just like a training game. So yeah, if it's been anything like that in F1, which it probably hasn't because they've got other noise. But yeah, it's fantastic. It's like, especially the Red Bull Ring, because that's one that fans really benefit, and that if the Max Verstappen stand is going to be there, that's always got some good TV shots and really adds to the atmosphere. And it's a really great track for in terms of kind of the spectacle that you get as a spectator. I imagine I've not been, but it's kind of on a hill, kind of in a bit of a bowl, and you've got some stands at the top that must have a fantastic view of the whole the whole track, or a decent proportion of the track. So it does feel like one way you get a good amount of value for money from your seats, and things are getting back to normal. Nature is healing.
Yeah, I think that's the thing for me. It is a massive step to returning to life before the pandemic and stuff, and there'll be thousands of fans there going who've had a tough 12 months or 18 months or whatever, and going to an F1 race is just a brilliant thing for them. And I think international or people outside Austria can go as well, because I don't think there's any quarantine measures. So I think there will be a lot of Dutch fans cheering on Max Verstappen. But yeah, just a fantastic thing, and hopefully, we can have 10 or 11 full fan attended races this year or something like that. That'll be just great.
Yeah, 10 or 11 fans is 75% of the Red Bull Ring. There was something really nice about watching the Indy 500 and essentially it looking full with fans. It didn't have anyone in the infield, but the outside, the controlled stands, it was fantastic to actually see an overtake and hear the roar of the crowd, which is something that's been so rare. I think I've only seen it really in the FA Cup final and the Champions League final. And that's all I've really seen crowd for. And it's so brilliant to see. You don't really think about how kind of you don't really think about how kind of emotional it is to sort of see a massive crowd. I think for me, I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, especially like going off topic slightly, for Castro Neves' fourth win. If he didn't have a crowd there, it would have been such a damp squib. But that's
I feel just on that, like, because Sato won it last year, it was kind of nice that he'd already won it, so he had that big fan moment. If it was their first Indy 500 win last year and they hadn't had that sort of, or only hadn't had that sort of big fan presence, which is something that makes the Indy 500 phenomenal, then on top of so many other things, it would have been really quite a shame. Like, Hidio's not going to climb the catch fencing to nobody, is he? And you're right. It just made it so brilliant.
I'm going to ignore the two fantastic puns. But the another sports fan trivia is that at the Super Bowl, then they had some fans there that were, I think, key workers that were fully vaccinated, but they also had a load of like cutouts, so it looked quite full. And then there were a load of people kicking off on Twitter about why there was a full house at the Super Bowl in January or February.
Oh no!
Like, why is this happening? There's just a load of guys like, it's actually cutouts, and they're like 25% fans, so that was quite funny.
Well, they managed it for the snooker, and now that's the blueprint for the Austrian Grand Prix. So, yes, we're going to move on to a few sort of quick prediction-y bits before we get on to the return of the Winging It quiz. Woo! Cheer for the quiz. Yeah.
Yay!
Yay! Finally, someone cheered. I tried to get everyone to cheer for years. And finally, there's some cheers for the return of the quiz. But yeah, a few quick predictions. Front row. Let's go with that. In the order you think. Adam Dickinson.
I think it's just going to be really close. I think it's going to be like Spain. I think it's going to be really close. Verstappen out.
Cool. Adam, you're going to throw onto yourself
I think
that.
Verstappen first. I'm tempted to put Perez second.
Ooh, interesting.
But
Wow.
I've got an interesting one.
no, I can't. Yes, I can. Perez second.
I think
Actually,
Verstappen, Norris.
Bottas does quite well there, doesn't it?
No, you think McLaren are going to be that strong?
I think McLaren are going to be that strong in qualifying.
Better than Mercedes. Baku.
Yeah, I think on par with Mercedes.
I'm going to put Bottas as second, actually.
That's a good shout. Bottas is a very good shout. And he's had some very, very good qualifying performances this year. Has Bottas. Apart from Imola, the rest of them have been good.
It's an important one as well. It's like there's not a big run to the first corner at all, despite the fact that they've got a million miles of straight that they could have used. They're like, oh, we'll just give them like 2 meters and then it's the first corner.
Oh, it would have been mad if the start line was way down the other end. It would have been insane. Or if they just did the track the other way around, that would be terrifying. Yeah. You've got the flat out corners at the end of the straight. Oh my God, no. That's terrifying to think of.
Is there some rule that you've got to have like a sharp corner within X distance from the start line? Well, because there aren't
she's not really.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't think there is.
There are lots of like random rules about. Tracks. I think there is one. Yeah, and there's definitely one about the distance that you've got to have to the first corner. So maybe it's kind of tied into that. The first corner's got to be like X.
It probably is that then. Yeah, minimum. I think there's just it's probably more. I think people just circuit designers think it's more interesting to have cars close together at turn one. Although because Monza's a pretty big straight, isn't it? From the grid, but that ties into Monza's kind of thing, doesn't it? But yeah, Nigel, you wanted to say something there, didn't you?
I was just going to say, I think Baku is a bit more of a Mercedes track, so I'll be surprised if one of them's not on the front row. Like,
I'm being seduced by Monaco.
Bad weekends really well too.
That's a good point.
From the past. But yeah, it'd be fantastic if McLaren are right up there. It'd be brilliant, in fact. But
I think that's because like they proved they've got the efficiency for a street circuit with Norris and the way he can rotate the car in Monaco, but also they've got the straight line. That's a really slippery car they've got there, and I think they can set the car up in a really nice way. I think Ferrari are going to be way off because they've only got acceleration. They don't have top end speed at all, and Honda have.
They'll be good in the middle of the lap, though. I think Ferrari.
Yeah, but that's the thing. There's so much else in the lap. Like you can't, if you're good in the middle of the lap, you can't set yourself up in the middle of the lap, like you said earlier, because of the long straight. So it's just going to be a massive negative compromise for Ferrari, surely. That's my. I don't see any outcome for that other than that for Ferrari, but I'll happily be proved wrong. I'm really happy because I was really happy to see them up there in Monaco.
Just on the first corner, I had a look and it said the first corner must be a change of direction of at least 300 degrees with a rate. Sorry, not 300.
Wow.
45 degrees. 45 degrees with a radius under 300 meters, and they say the start line should preferably be at least 250
Sochi's not
meters
45 degrees, is it?
But Sochi wasn't turn one when it was built.
Yeah.
It was reclassified as turn one, so they're allowed to do that, I guess. Fake turn one, it's called. So yeah, so that's the front row predictions. All right. Other prediction: 12th place in the race.
Alonso.
Oh, that's quite a good one, actually.
Yeah, I was thinking him. Vettel.
I think Raikkonen. How many finishes?
Well, 2
in the race.
Bottas and Raikkonen.
Very
I like that.
And one's in 12.
Yes.
I don't think there's going to be a safety car, so I think 19.
Who's the one? Who's the unlucky
Someone will
one?
just like peel off or go into the pit lane.
Someone's peeled off just going buy a pastry.
Yeah.
Goes past like some boutique shops or whatever. It's like
it's in the middle of a city.
If it is a wet race, or at least on the F1 game, if it's a wet race, then you just see like really bright lights from the shops. Like the track's really dark, and then you just see the lights like you get up.
I thought you were going to say they're going to stop and buy like an umbrella or something, and then they'll be fine.
Nah,
wet race.
That'd just be silly. I am going to go 14.
Wow.
14.
Race of attrition.
Yeah, 2 of them will be finished.
Okay, so Bottas and Raikkonen are definitely going to finish in the top 14.
Yeah.
I'm going to go 16 finishes. Why not? It's a cop-out number.
That's a sad indictment on Vettel if there's 14 finishes and he finished 12.
Fancy Wells finishes.
Not sure that's entirely consistent, but I don't know.
Like if all the Mercedes and Red Bull are out and he's still 12th, then something like that. All cars that should be ahead of him are out. Like the Williams have won the race. Like, what are you doing? One thing, I think Williams could have a really awful weekend because it's so windy in Baku, and it's like a track that should work for them, and it won't. I think as well. That's another thing I'm going to say. But does anyone have any final prediction categories they want to throw into the prediction categories
might
mix?
get points again. Alfa Romeo, I think.
Alfa Romeo.
Because I think Giovinazzi, this is one of his best circuits. I reckon.
One of the Williams
from his F2, it's fantastic. From GP2, he was brilliant here. He took both wins in GP2.
Yeah.
My prediction is one Williams will finish 11th. It'll be another, they nearly got points and then they didn't.
Which one? Latifi or Russell?
Latifi.
See, weirdly, that feels more likely.
Yes. Actually, it feels more likely that Latifi will get points and Russell will be 11th.
Bless Russell. And bless Latifi.
Bless their cons.
Yeah. But now we move on to the most important part of the Winging It Formula One podcast, Baku, Azerbaijan Grand Prix preview. The bit you've all been waiting for, the bit Adam and Nigel have been revising very hard for. Drumming rolls. It's the quiz. Woo! Hooray!
Grand Preview.
6 weeks.
Shameful behaviour.
Grand Preview. Someone else uses Grand Preview every week. I'm sure of it. They've got to. Someone else has to say Grand Preview. But yes, so you know how it works. You both buzz in with answers to the quiz. When I find it, I can't find it. Where's the quiz? No, that's the wrong thing. Where is it? Here's the quiz. I found the quiz. We're safe. We have questions. So now, guys, are you ready for Baku quiz?
Yes, I am.
Wow, fighting talk. Okay, right. First question. When was the first Azerbaijan Grand Prix? Adam.
2017.
Correct. He saw through the European Grand Prix ruse for a race that wasn't in Europe.
Ha 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 ha. It's like the Europa League final was held in Azerbaijan again, not in Europe.
There'll be some Euros matches in Baku as well this summer.
Not only in Dublin though.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Right. It's been a long time since I've done one of these, and I'm just getting a notebook ready to keep track of the score.
It's 1-0.
Yes, I know.
I only have one question. It can only be one score.
Yes, and I've written way too much in this notebook. There we go. Adam, 1. I won't write Nigel's name down in case he doesn't get any points. Right. Question 2. Where did Sergio Perez qualify for the 2016 race?
Nigel.
He
got 5th.
No.
Adam.
I know he was on the podium.
Adam.
4th.
No.
It'll be a long round.
Do you want to do closest from those?
Nah, let's not. Actually, yeah.
No, it's not.
Well, yeah, closest is Adam.
Oh, what?
Oh, okay.
He qualified second, but got a grid penalty, so started in 7th or something.
Oh, wow. Because that Hamilton
crashed. Yeah. It was a really good qualifying session.
I was looking it up and I saw Hamilton was like 10th with a 2-minute lap in Q3. Yeah. I was like, what happened? Oh, yeah. Crashed.
Okay, cool. So another point to Adam for being closest.
Well for this weekend if he qualifies second.
Yeah.
Well, I predicted it and then reneged on that, so I'll be annoyed.
Which 2 drivers scored their first ever F1 points in the 2018 race? I think you both know one of them.
Adam
Van
Dorn.
No.
No.
He'd scored points before that.
That was just because we mentioned him in the podcast earlier, so I thought I'll be annoyed if it is and I don't. So
that's fair enough.
Nigel. The first points in F1.
In F1.
It's not Alonso.
No, it's not Alonso. He'd scored 2 championships by this
point.
point.
I think I know.
All right. Wait for Nigel to say the names, but I'm going to have to time you out soon, Nigel. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Alonso.
Yeah, Alonso scored his first points. Yeah, he won those 2 championships with no points. He won nearly 30 races with no points.
Adam, is it Sirotkin?
No, it's not.
Okay. No, it's not.
He was Monza.
I thought Freddie would have put him in as a point to add to his reasons why Sirotkin was actually an F1 great.
Yeah, definitely. Number 35. Right, are you gonna narrow this down? I'm really hoping the question's right.
Nigel, Leclerc.
Nigel. Yes. And
do you have to name both?
Yes.
Leclerc and I don't know. Gasly?
No. He went 4th in Bahrain, mate.
Can't remember that much of the
Come on, guys. The 2018 F1 season.
Yeah.
It wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, but it was. So much.
At Halo grid now. That's a good question. No, he's not. He's on A grid.
He's on A grid.
He's not on the F1 grid. No, it wasn't Callum Ilott because he didn't have an F1 debut in 2018, did he?
It can't be, but no, it's not Perez.
It's not Perez. He was on the podium in that race, mate. Adam, I feel like I'm throwing it over to you because Nigel's had too many in the dark guesses. So Adam, you've got a free punt.
Just trying to work my way through the grid in my mind.
Good thing you're doing it in your mind, not like in mashed potato or something random. Just like writing them out in mashed potato.
As I've said previously, you can write on a banana skin, so I can be doing that.
Got one over there. I'm opening a banana to be like a tennis player waiting for the next round to start.
I'll just go for. Well, I don't know.
But don't say a name you know. It's not the name.
I'll go. Ericsson.
Oh, it's a good guess. It's not true, I'm afraid. He scored points in 2015.
Yeah, I kind of
thought mad to think he was in F1.
Would have been the case. Yeah.
Ericsson tested the brawn, I think. I want to say. He's been around for a long time. Such a young man. Do you want a final clue?
Yeah.
Pascal. No.
What
I was going to say Pascal Verlaine, but that's not right.
No. He's won Le Mans. This is a great clue.
It is, but I don't know that many Le Mans winners. So
he's also a WEC champion.
That's equally unhelpful.
How do I not know this?
Yeah, I know.
I'm wondering the same thing, in all honesty.
Motorsport's my second favourite.
All I can think of is Kamui Kobayashi staring back at me.
Well, he wasn't on the grid. Adam, you exclusively played the 2018 F1 game for about 3 years.
Yeah, but I can't remember any of the people on it.
Oh, come on. I need to think of another clue. I need to think of a clue that's lending itself to Adam.
I'm just going to, because it's not Buemi.
His first Grand Prix.
It's not Hulkenberg.
His first Grand Prix was the US Grand Prix in 2017.
Oh, Nigel. Brendan Hartley.
Yes, Brendan Hartley.
I thought through him about so many times, and I think
he didn't score points. Why he didn't score points? He did. He scored his
really
first
annoying.
points. He finished 10th. He was ahead of Gasly. Nigel,
That
you're
was
the
a
scoreboard.
hard-earned point.
One of the most forgettable F1 drivers, bless him. He scored something like 4 or 5 points that year. Should have scored
he also
more.
crashed a lot. Those compilations of like the best radio, and a lot of it was just his engineer going, "Brendan, are you okay?"
Oh no, that's really sad.
He would have been my Alex Albon that season if we were doing the podcast.
Yeah, but we wouldn't have hyped him up as much, so it wouldn't have been like.
I really liked him, but like it was just like he kept underperforming, and it really annoyed me because I thought he was a really good driver before he was in F1, and then kind of like, oh, but Gasly's outperforming you, and you're obviously been made to number 2, yes, but that's because that's where you naturally fall as a rookie. So anyway, so yeah, that's 3 questions down. Where did Hamilton finish for the 2016 race? We've already alluded to his Adam.
5th.
Yes, it was 5th. We alluded to his inconsequential drive then. It's a very good answer. Yeah. Cool. Moving on to the next question. That was a much quicker question. Who qualified last for the first 2 Baku races? Another innocuous driver from the period.
Nigel.
Ericsson. No, it was not.
I was going to go Rio Haryanto, but I don't think he made it to 2 seasons.
He didn't make it. He didn't make it to a full season.
No,
he was out by Spa.
So what was it? The first two
Baku races. Who qualified
16
last?
and 17.
Yeah, 16 and 17. European and Azerbaijani Grand Prix. Getting a banana was the best choice I made in this quiz. It gives me something to do.
What are you going to say is the best choice you made in your life then?
No, that was asking the question about who qualified last for the first 2 Baku Grand Prix.
That was a really bad decision. No, he's not innocuous.
I can give you a clue that will really give it, but I'll wait for that.
Magnussen.
No. Oh.
Well, sorry, I've had 2 guesses. I need to be quiet.
Yeah.
It's all right.
After I said it was close.
I'm not really making much progress. I've got to go.
What's close to Magnussen in that kind of period?
Well, that is. Oh, was it Jolyon Palmer?
Yes, it was. It was
Jolyon Palmer. Oh, what a lad!
The Renaults locked out the back row in the 2016 race. I thought that was quite something. I thought they were better than that. Cool. Adam, you're on 4.
On a street circuit.
Be alert on a street circuit.
Alert.
That is the tie-break question, but I don't think we're going to get there now. I need to come up with another one. I was like, what do you have to be on a street circuit? That was going to be the clue if you didn't get it as well. Right. The next question is, who outqualified Pascal Wehrlein in the 2016 race?
Adam.
Not like all of them. Which teammate outqualified Pascal Wehrlein?
Sorry.
Adam.
Was it Gutierrez?
No, it wasn't. Nigel.
Well, I think Adam mentioned him before. Rio Haryanto.
Yes, it was Rio Haryanto. Nigel's clawing his way back in. That's 2 points now. I'm really throwing you under the bus with it. But yeah, I just thought I saw.
I'm used to it.
Oh my goodness, Rio Haryanto did something better than Pascal Wehrlein, and I was so shocked that I had to put it in there. This is another one that I forgot about, so I assume you guys do. Who came second in 2018?
Nigel.
Adam.
I had Nigel first, I'm afraid. It was very close.
2018.
2018.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's 4-3.
Yes.
Maybe I shouldn't have told you what the bonus question was. This is going to be a buzzer race. Who declared themselves stupid in qualifying for the 2019 race? Adam was first.
No,
Charles
I'm not having that. I was first.
I'm having that.
You weren't
I
first.
was way before you.
Nigel, you weren't first, mate.
No, you weren't.
Adjudicator rules, and Adam already said the answer anyway.
I'm
yes,
going to
it's
look
Leclerc.
back at this footage, and send it in the group chat.
Well,
not
be on
saying it in the group
YouTube.
chat. It's on YouTube, mate,
Oh.
or on a podcast platform of your choice. If it's on that podcast platform, don't choose one it's not on. Anyway, cool. This is going to be a closest of question. How long was FP1 in 2019? So, Adam, give your guess. How long was FP1?
Like, including delays, and because like the clock carries on.
Well, the clock carries on, but FP1 was cancelled after a certain amount of time. That's so. After how long was it cancelled?
You said FP1 was cancelled. I was going to go like, oh, no minutes then.
Yeah, that's why I had a certain amount of time.
I don't know, 50 minutes.
50?
Yeah.
Okay.
20.
Nigel, what are you
Yes,
going for?
the Baku
20.
5-0.
20. Nigel gets the point. It was 12 minutes long.
Oh, should have gone for
What
15.
happened?
Russell.
Because George
No, that
Russell
was a different-
went over. Yeah, George Russell went over a manhole that came up and hit the floor of his car, which basically decimated his car, like detonated it. And then they put him on a truck to bring him back, and the truck crashed into the advertising hoarding because the truck was too big for where the advert was. And then they were just like, let's call the whole thing off. So they did. And they're just like, goodness sake, a truck has crashed into the track.
Claire Williams was absolutely fuming with that as
Yeah,
well.
because it completely destroyed the car.
They should build a better car in the first place. There was
It's
another
getting very close here now, guys, by the way.
Yeah, I know, but I've got another off-topic thing that in the Tour de
I've only
France
got 2
2013,
minutes.
I believe, for the first stage, it was going to be ending in a sprint, and then one of the team buses crashed into the finish line, so it couldn't get through. So they had to move the finish line like forward, like further into the stage, and then like change it back when the bus got free. Then they had to change it back again.
Wow.
What's the next question?
Next question is the final question, unless Nigel gets it right, in which case I need to think of a decider question. Another 2019 Grand Prix question. Who topped every practice session in the 2019 race? Grand Prix.
Nigel.
Adam was first.
Is it Leclerc?
It was Leclerc.
Hey!
Bam, 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 bam. Adam Dickinson, 6 points.
Charles
to Nigel's
Leclerc
4
saved
points.
you in this quiz for these 2 answers.
He's been lots of answers.
Brendan Hartley saved you. Ambrio Haryanto saved you. 2 largely forgettable. I
can't believe Kamui Kobayashi got a shout out. That's fair enough. Someone who hasn't been in F1 since 2014. It's got nowhere near Baku. Got a shout out. Fair play. So yeah, that's a win for Adam Dickinson. Commiserations to Nigel too for the quiz. But who knows where we will be come the French Grand Prix? Is that the one after this? When we have to be questions about that. Who's going to win the quiz then? Watch next time to find out. Thanks very much for watching, everybody. Thanks very much for listening if you listened. We do hope you enjoyed the Azerbaijan Grand Prix weekend, and we'll see you on the other side of it for our Azerbaijan Grand Prix review. So yeah, stay safe, everybody. Take care. Have the best time of your lives. Au revoir.
Wow. Au revoir.